folk. Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
Papelbon sets. At the belt. The pitch. Swing and a miss. It's over. The Red Sox have swept the Colorado Rockies. The Red Sox are the world champions of baseball for 2007.
It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years. The Red Sox are world champions.
Sale winds. He fires. Swing and a miss. Strike three. It's over. The Red Sox have won the world championship. The Boston Red Sox beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 5-1. They win the World Series 4-1. And the Red Sox become the first team in the 21st century with 4 world championships. Can you believe it?
And welcome back to another week of Fenway Faithful. My name is Stephen Griffin, and joined as always by Michael Willard and Jonathan Cobb. A lot of changes have occurred in the past few weeks. A near complete roster turnaround from just a month or so ago, with the amount of both coaching and injuries that are decimating this team's depth. We have a lot to go over today, but before we start up, I want you, all as viewers, to hear from me directly. Last week, our two principled and trustworthy co-hosts named myself, Stevie G, as the recipient for both of their Jordan Hicks Awards of the week. In case you missed it, right before our emergency podcast to discuss the significant changes to the Red Sox coaching staff, I made an incompetent executive decision to bail and not partake in the episode. As such, my two co-hosts had to cover the hot topic news without their personal favorite co-host. That is a feeling I am beyond thankful I will never have to experience, but both Cobb and Willard had to do the impossible, complete the whole episode without their favorite on their side. Anyways, on behalf of the Fenway Faithful podcast, I humbly accept their nomination as last week's Jordan Hicks Award winner due to my actions. So you all heard it from me directly. I accept.
Thanks for being a man about it, Stevie. Thanks for being a man about it. You know, I mean,
very well deserved.
Not a gentleman, because a gentleman wouldn't have missed the episode. But I'm glad it was for a good cause. Stevie G is finishing up his career at the University of New Hampshire. So moving on to bigger and better things very soon. So I guess, you know, I'm not going to let it slide, Stevie. But I do hope that you enjoy being the recipient of the Jordan Hicks Award.
Absolutely. This is an honor I don't take lightly. Not at all. Not one bit. So I appreciate the thought.
I'm not sure he knows what the
You're a part of
I'm not
Fenway.
sure he knows what the definition of honor means, but continue.
You're a part of Fenway Faithful history. You're the first co-host of the show to actually get the award. So
I know. It's got to add that one to the trophy cabinet.
What else do you have in that trophy cabinet, Stevie?
Diploma. You'll get your diploma and then Jordan Hicks Award.
Right next to each other for the whole world to see.
Yeah.
Anyways, now for the reason we hope you're all here for today's episode. As normal, we'll start up with first pitch, talking about the dysfunction in the locker room as well as the brand new coaching staff. We'll get into the series recap, upcoming series, with two series that I individually are very excited for, including the Braves and the Phillies, and then close out, as normal, with our weekly Jordan Hicks Award winner. So, with that being said, let's dive right into it. Thank you all for tuning in today. And Cobb, I now turn it over to you to start up first pitch.
Gentlemen, if we're not going to get a winning season, then we might as well get an interesting one. One with a lot of drama, rift between teammates, and arguments that reach the media. When they start to happen in May, you can kind of begin to feel that we are in for a doozy this year with the Boston Red Sox. And we are a week into the month of May, and we are already seeing this team falter. We have a rift between a longtime veteran and a young player. The rift is between Wilson Contreras and Marcelo Meyer. This comes on May 3rd, right after we had lost 2 out of 3 to Houston. We were coming off of a 3-1 loss. where the team was 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Wilson Contreras went straight to the media, never shy to share his opinion, and here's what he said. It's been different with Alex not here, but after Cora got fired, the guys got loose a little more because I feel like the tension was gone. That's what I felt. That's my own opinion. When Alex wasn't in the dugout anymore, the team was kind of loose. But that doesn't matter. We have to play better. We have to find consistency. We have to get better. We have to be better. La-di-da-di-da. That's not all that bad. To the answer to the follow-up, Wilson says, it probably doesn't help that the lineup has a number of young players who don't have much experience in dealing with slumps. To this, just a couple of minutes later, Marcelo Meyer came in and said, to me, that's just kind of an excuse. Blame the young guys. He adds on, but at the end of the day, we're all playing baseball. We're all pros. We all know what we need to do. I don't think we're doing a good job with runners in scoring position. When you don't do that, you don't score runs. Very clear, Wilson Contreras, when you call out a portion of your roster, when you say the young guys aren't doing this, and then that young guy, one of those young guys, fires right back at you, man, when you do it in the public eye, you can lie all you want and say that that's water under the bridge, but we have a long way to go this season, and there are going to be plenty more difficult games to come, and I don't trust Wilson Contreras to bite his tongue, and frankly, good on Marcelo Meyer for standing up for himself and for the young guys. Now, one of the things that Meyer did, like, we see in all of professional sports, he came out to the media the next day and kind of tried to cool things off. He says, I think things got taken out of context, which I think is hilarious because there really isn't any context. It's really actually very direct. He's responding to a quote. Meyer says, I didn't mean to take a shot at anybody, obviously, especially not to Wilson. Wilson and I have a great relationship. He's an amazing teammate, a great person, and a true veteran of this game. We really respect him in this clubhouse, and he helps us a lot. He helps the team. He helps the young guys. None of that was directed at Wilson. Now, do you remember when we were all kids and you got your hand caught in the cookie jar when you weren't supposed to, or you were doing something that you got in trouble for, and what did you do? You lied, and you lied your face off, and you exaggerated to no ends. Those things don't change. Those things don't change. Adults still do the same thing. And so when you're Marcelo Meyer and you're trying to backtrack these comments, Wilson Contreras, we respect him in this clubhouse. He helps the young guys. Oh, yeah, right. Oh, I'm sure, Marcelo. Oh, I'm sure. Lay it on thick, why don't you?
I mean, yeah, you can't get away with lying in the Boston media. This is the one of the markets in baseball you can't get away with that stuff. And Wilson Contreras can maybe get away with, blaming teammates when he's in St. Louis in a smaller market like that, but you can't get away with that stuff in Boston. And I just think it's hilarious that we start a podcast and they're giving us content to talk about every single episode, and it's all bad. It's all just bad, but it's giving us a lot of stuff to talk about. But I'm not surprised that we're having these issues right now. We haven't had a clear leader on this team. They're trying to make it Wilson Contreras, and it's just not going well. This team hasn't had a leader. Minus last year with Bregman, we haven't had a true leader on this team in so long. Since, Dustin Pedroia, it feels like. But I'm not surprised when you have a whole clubhouse full of a first-year manager and a bunch of coaches that were minor league coaches and have never actually coached up in the big league squad. And a lot of these guys are in their 20s. They have no experience in the big league squad. So I'm not surprised all of this is going on in this clubhouse when you have absolutely no experience. I also think it's crazy for Contreras to go after the young guys when they've kind of been carrying us this year. Meyer and Anthony have been hitting well recently. Tolley and Early are carrying this rotation. So for him to go and blame anyone is bad, but also blaming the young guys when they've actually been doing solid this year it's kind of crazy to me. But we kind of talked about this last week. It all comes down to control. Breslow wants to be able to control the team. He wants to be able to control how the roster works, who plays every day. So he's going to have all of these minor league coaches because they're easily manipulative. They could easily get manipulated into doing whatever he wants. You can't bring in a veteran manager like Bruce Bochy or something, for an example, and then tell him what to do with the roster every day. He's a veteran. He's not going to take that. So that's why Breslow calls up all these minor league coaches to come coach this team, because he could just control them however they want. Cora didn't want to get controlled like that. He played the roster like he wanted to play the roster, not playing Marcelo every day, not playing some of the young guys. And maybe that's why the locker room maybe feels looser, is because Cora wasn't really a young player like guy. He didn't really love the young players. He's not a big Marcelo Meyer fan, it feels like. So maybe they could all take a deep breath now that Cora's out of the locker room. But I don't know. It just seems kind of hectic. It's still so early in the year, so it's not a good sign that this is all happening.
Definitely not. I unequivocally agree with everything you said. I mean, just the amount of dysfunction we're seeing right now, from the front office to management to players. It's a mess right now. And just when I feel that power dynamics in this organization can't get worse, stuff like this happens. I mean, who in their right mind just allows behavior like this to happen? To openly trash the other team, umpires, the league. Okay, stuff like that happens. I'm not, saying that can't happen. But it's so far different when Wilson Contreras goes to the media to trash his own teammates, talk about how he believes the philosophy is changing from coach to coach, and say what he believes, and he has leeway to speak his mind and leak discussions that are coming from the clubhouse. I mean, this season is a mess, and we all know it, and who knows where we're going from this. But, so far, some seasons that I feel that are starting to get pretty analogous to this season are 2012, obviously the failed Bobby Valentine season. I mean, that's a whole other thing we could go on. But even recently, I have a distinct memory back in 2022 when players in the clubhouse, including Alex Cora, were strongly voicing their opposition to Bloom. It feels like they didn't really respect him. They didn't like the way he was managing from the higher-ups, most notably after they DFA'd Kevin Plawecki with a matter of weeks to go in the season. And it throws people off. And, I mean, this can distract everything. I mean, that year, too, was when Xander Bogaerts needed an extension. And, Bloom and Henry and everyone else is going out in the media saying, ridiculous things. To get back a little bit more to Contreras, from what I see, I mean, things can change, but from what I'm seeing thus far, Contreras is doing everything humanly possible to be a trade deadline candidate come July or August. Honestly, that probably seems like the best thing to do at this current moment, given the state of this team, given his age, given, when we're going to be serious contenders again. But someone who is supposed to be a leader here, at his age, a world champion, a renowned veteran in this league, a leader does not belittle his own teammates like that. Even if it was true, which, as Willard touched on, it really isn't that true. Even if that's true, you don't do that. In no world can this be allowed.
Let's give credit where credit's due. Wilson is raking. He has been one of the few bright spots in an offense that has been disappointing, to say the least. But we keep talking about Wilson Contreras, and we keep throwing around the term leader and leadership. Being a veteran does not make you a leader. That those two things are not, they don't have to be one in the other. Just because you are the oldest guy in the locker room does not mean you need to take control. Wilson Contreras, so in that first quote, he says, when Alex left, we got loose. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean, we got loose? Because the team has sucked. So if this is loose, then you better tighten up. Because this sucks. We suck. What does loose mean? To me, loose means that there's nobody in charge. That's what loose feels like to me. Loose feels like there's no leader. It's a rudderless ship. I had mentioned weeks and weeks ago about the inmates running the prison. And I had actually mentioned that while Cora was here. And if it's even looser now, I didn't even do it justice. If I thought the inmates were running the prison a month ago while Cora was here, and now we're run by a AAA manager, and Wilson Contreras, the biggest loose cannon of them all, is saying, wow, it's a good thing we're all loose now. Now we can relax, speak our minds, say what we want. Wow. We are in for a fun season for all of the wrong reasons. And there's one other thing that really scares me with this year, and I like joking about it, but we have a lot of young guys on this roster, and there's a lot of young guys that we really still don't know them. We don't know their personality. I really don't know anything about Roman Anthony's personality, Marcelo Meyer's personality, Conley Early. I think Tolley is a bit more out there. He's kind of that a little bit more outgoing, I'm a dog kind of personality. But those are three key young players that are supposed to be cornerstones to this roster. And when you make their first full big league season together, led by a AAA manager and Wilson Contreras, how are they supposed to develop into leaders? They are going to be brought up in their major league careers with this feeling of spitefulness, with this feeling of combativeness with their own teammates. They're going to be emboldened to go to the media when things aren't going right, and surely nothing could ever go wrong with going to the media in Boston. That's never blown up in anyone's face. And they're going to have a me-first attitude that everybody in sports knows that does not lead to winning. So frankly, that is the scariest thing that could come out of this season. We have a lot of things that we can say about this season. Nobody is predicting us to play any October baseball. But if our key players have no faith in the leadership of this organization, and they have no interest in leading this team themselves as the best players, which they should be, man, we might have just completely ruined this core that we have invested so much in.
This is why we need. I was saying this last week too. Stability. I want a stability in our coaching staff and with this roster. So we need to figure out the roster because players are probably playing like, oh, this might be my last game here. They're all scared, and there's players that aren't given everyday playing time as well. So figure out the roster and figure out the coaching staff because you really cannot be wasting these developmental years of this young core and just screwing with them because then years from now we're gonna look at them as busts or just not like this team could have been this, but it wasn't because we didn't actually have a core set in place with this coaching staff.
Losing is okay. Plenty of young superstars have been on bad teams to start their careers in a number of sports. But starting out with this spiteful, hateful attitude in a way that you're never going to develop as a leader when you're expected to be the best player on that roster, that is the most dangerous thing. It's not about the wins and losses. It's about developing as a leader in this clubhouse.
Yep.
Definitely. And, what you touched on earlier, Cobb, yeah, just because he's been around a while doesn't mean, by character he's a leader. But this is a guy the team should be wanting to look up to. Even if, deep down he doesn't have these, top traits that maybe Ortiz had or Pedroia had or anybody else had. The bottom line is he's a world champion. He's been in the league for about a decade. And he's someone, at the very least, you want to be a good role model and representing you guys well. And when he goes to the media and starts bitching you out and, trashes you and says it's all your fault, I don't care what his qualification or whether he is or isn't supposed to be a leader. That's not acceptable. Even if the younger guys start yelling at the older guys just because they're not leaders, that doesn't make it acceptable. This has never been
in a vacuum. Wilson Contreras should be a great leader for this team. Like you said, 10-year veteran, World Series champion, been around the block, been maybe not one of the best players in baseball, but he's been an all-star level player, something that a lot of these young guys should thrive to be. But the reality is that he's always been a loose cannon. This is not anything new for him. So frankly, shame on Craig Breslow for trying to hitch the wagon of leadership onto this guy. This is not some big surprise. And when you remove the head of the snake in Alex Cora, and the only thing left is Wilson Contreras, who do you blame? Do you blame Wilson Contreras, who's been a hothead his whole career? Do you blame Wilson Contreras for being in charge? Or do you blame the guy that put Wilson Contreras in the driver's seat? Because that's who I blame.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you guys saying that just because you've been in the league for that long, you aren't a leader. Because we've been saying for years we need a leader. Trevor Story has been on this team for years, and he's never really stepped up as that leader. He's been in the league for years now. He's been on this team for years, and no one's really came out and said, oh, yeah, he's the leader. And good thing Wilson Contreras is raking, because if he was saying all this stuff and acting like this and sucking, we'd be treating him like Pablo Sandoval.
No, I hear you. I think it's a little bit revisionist history. I think this team does rally behind Story, and there's been plenty of quotes over the years of guys having Stories back and attesting to him as a leader. However, it's pretty tough to be a leader when you're batting under 200 and you can't make the throw from short to first. So it doesn't matter how good of a guy you are. If you're not doing the job that you're paid to do, you can't be expected to lead others.
I mean, yeah, they could stand up for him and stuff. They stood up for him yesterday in the fight, but, like, if he was actually a true leader, I don't think any of this chaos is happening in the locker room like it is. And maybe he just doesn't want to play here anymore because he was going to opt out last year, and he stayed because of Alex Cora. He loved Alex Cora as a manager. Whenever he was injured, he was always at the front step of the dugout with Cora, talking it up with him. He loves Cora. Now that Cora's gone, maybe he just doesn't want to be here. Maybe he's not as invested in this team, and it's showing with how dysfunctional this locker room is.
Yeah, to add on to that, I mean, I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I remember after Cora got fired, Story had some sort of meandering quote that he directed at the front office about them firing Cora. And yeah, to touch on what Cobb says, you know, this guy, he's batting under 200. He's not very likable in the city. This contract has been, you know, lack for a better term, a complete disaster. Yeah, he had a nice little run last year, maybe like a couple dots here and there. But overall, this deal has not panned out well at all. I mean, if he didn't have such a crazy contract, they'd be looking to unload him. I don't know if that's even possible. But I mean, many front office executives probably don't see Trevor Story as definitely not a MLB caliber starting shortstop. Maybe not even an MLB caliber starter anymore. And yeah, Story probably has the better personality and probably better leadership tactics than Contreras has. It'd be tough for him not to. But yeah, I mean, we can only hero worship someone so much who's batting 190, strikes out all the time, isn't making throws, and is just not what we thought we were getting when we got a former all-star shortstop who would hit 30 home runs a year.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add, talking about the potential rift between the older and younger guys. I remember when Jarren Duran was coming up, he felt like he had no one to go to because the older guys would kind of like shut him out. He was just a young guy on this team. They shut him out. That 2023 team was not good. And there was a clear rift between the younger guys on that team and the older guys, and I don't want that carrying over to this team. I want them to be together. I don't want this rift between the older guys and the younger guys. You need to work together. You need to help the younger guys so then we could be good this year and we could be good for years in the future. We can't be going against each other. We're supposed to be working together.
That's a guy we don't bring up. Jarren Duran's been here long enough. Jarren Duran has been one of the best players in baseball. He's having a tough start to this year. He's obviously embarrassed himself in this city a couple of times, but With that said, he doesn't really go out to the media and throw teammates under the bus. I mean, nobody's ever said anything bad about him. Where's Jaren Duran? Why can't he step up as a leader? He's getting to that point of his career. He's older than we think. I think he's approaching 30. I think he's in his age 29 season. He's getting up there.
He is.
He should be the guy that is taking control of that clubhouse. And if he's willing to let Wilson Contreras take over, and I'm almost so sick of talking about Wilson Contreras because it's just such a joke that this is even allowed, that he's even allowed to have such a voice on this team. But it's guys like Jaren Duran that enable him to do that. So maybe we need to put more pressure on Duran.
But Duran's not really that much of an outspoken guy. He doesn't really like dealing with the media whatsoever. He's very hard on himself, so I don't know if I want him to be the leader. He's always making adjustments. Every time he struggles, he has to make this adjustment. I don't know if I want him leading the team. And has he ever really been in a clubhouse with a true leader? Like, I was trying to think of the year he was called up. Like, we didn't have Bogarts on the team. Like, he was never here with Mookie. He was never here with any of those veterans. Has he really, besides Bregman, has he really had a true veteran that he's been able to latch onto so then he could then lead these teams now that he's older? I don't think he really has. It's Bregman and maybe Justin Turner, but Justin Turner was only here for a year.
No, I'm with you. The thing is that you don't necessarily need a ideal role model to be able to step up as that leader. He's been in this game long enough. You don't need to be an outspoken, hoorah type of guy to be a leader in a clubhouse. Xander Bogaerts was absolutely a leader on this team. He was not a loud, outspoken guy. He came to work every day. He did what had to be done. There's no reason Jaren Duran can't do the same. I put more on Jaren Duran. I'm glad that name was brought up.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen his behavior sometimes. And
Agreed.
Yeah, he's a human like anyone else is. But I mean, if he starts yelling at the fans as he does a couple times a year, I mean, I don't know. Duran, to me, is just kind of his own guy. He plays his game. Yeah, he has an outburst here and there. But, I mean, let's be real. I mean, we've heard what he said on hot mics. We've seen him giving it back to the fans. I mean...
He's a loose cannon. He's a loose cannon. He is.
He is,
but
he just really doesn't
he's
have...
no Wilson.
Yeah, he's been on the team probably one of the longest off the top of my mind. But, I mean, just because he's been around, we know his attitude, we know his behavior. I mean, I don't really picture him like taking young guys under his wing and showing them
Who's the next longest tenured? Ceddanne Rafaela? You want to talk about a guy that has a piss poor attitude and doesn't hide it on the field? That's the next man up to be a leader. We want to hitch our wagons to Greg Weissert. My God, like seriously.
Hey, Willier's been on the team, I think, just as long as
that's another great name. Willier should be able to step up. You know, if Duran's too afraid to talk to the media and Rafael is too much of a bitch, then where's Willier? Why can't he step up? This team isn't a bunch of 18-year-olds. They're grown men. Stand up for yourself.
But they're not that much older, though. I mean, look at the 2018 team. JD was here when he was in his 30s. Mitch
Don't compare us to a 108-win team, Stevie.
No. But I'm saying in terms of the guys you're looking up to. Like, yeah, even though Duran's been here, 6 years now, he's still not even 30 yet. Willier and Rafael are like 25, 26. I mean, this is kind of what I was trying to touch on earlier. Like, even though I don't know Contreras' like mindset for everything, you still want to be going to the veteran guys. Like, I'm sure once Steve Pearce got here in 2018, he was helping guys out. I'm sure throughout that year, Moreland and JD and Brock Holt, even Ian Kinsler was helping guys out. Like, what a
Ian Kinsler did nothing to help us, I promise.
Oh, Jesus.
But I'm sure
he was actively trying to lose us a World Series.
No. There will never be Ian Kinsler hate allowed. I love that man. I love that man. But I can picture those guys, even though some of them weren't here the longest time. Once they got here, they're like, let's go do this thing. And that's what I was trying to say to Contreras. Even if he's not like this phenotype of what you want, you still want to be looking up to the older guys. And even if Duran and Abreu and Rafaela by tenure have been here the longest, I mean, Roman's 21, 22. He's going to look up to a guy 2 or 3 years older than him who's only been in the league a year or two longer than him, that he was a higher rated prospect with. He had more hype coming up to the majors with. You know what I'm trying to say?
We're forgetting Connor Wong. I think he actually is the longest tenured guy.
Good God.
You don't want Connor Wong as your leader?
We're in trouble. We're in trouble, boys.
What about the captain, Carlos Narvaez?
We're really in trouble.
It's been a while since our last real recording. We had the emergency pod, but it's been around 3 weeks, I think, since our last actual episode. So we're going to do our segment to kind of summarize it all, studs and duds. I'll be going over the studs this week. Cobb will be going over the duds this time. So before I start with my duds, I just want to say these stats are including since our last recording of our actual episode, and it's not including the game that's currently going on right now, the series finale against the Tigers. So it's stats within that 3 week range.
What's the update there? Are we
yes, we're up 4-0 going into the bottom
Stop
of the eighth.
Stop the count.
Yeah, stop the count. Will be our first
Holy
sweep of the year.
crap.
Stop the
Holy
count.
Crap. You just jinxed it.
I mean, Greg Weisert's coming in the game. I probably did.
Go.
But, okay, so first, I just want to mention these two before I get into my studs. Willie Abreu and Marcelo Meyer have had good 3 week stretches. Abreu, 353 in the last 3 weeks, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. And then Marcelo Meyer in his last 10 is batting 355 with 4 RBIs, so he's been raking. But my first stud is going to be Peyton Tolley. Got called up within this last 3 weeks. He's pitched in 3 games, 17 and 2/3 innings. He's 1-1, has allowed 6 runs, 4 of them earned. That's good enough for a 2.04 ERA, a .74 WHIP, and 23 strikeouts to 6 walks. He had 6 innings against the Yankees with 11 Ks, only 1 earned run. Sad we couldn't win that one for him. And he had a gem against the Tigers where he also had 8 Ks and then the 2 unearned runs, and we got the win in that one. There's been so many injuries to the pitching staff this year, so for him to get called up and actually shove is so needed. Sonny Gray was hurt. He's back today. Garrett Crochet's on the injured list. Ranger Suarez just got put on the injured list. We just lost Oviedo on the 60-day IL. Patrick Sandoval to the 60-day IL. We still haven't heard much about Cutter Crawford or Tanner Houck. Where's Tanner Houck? I don't know. But we've had so many injuries, so for him to come up and just absolutely shove is so massive. And he had a 6+ ERA last year, so for him to have around a 2 right now is also huge. And we've seen so many pitching debuts as well. Tyler Samaniego, Jack Anderson, Eduardo Rivera, Tyler Uberstein, Ryan Watson, Jake Bennett, and Alec Gomboa. Gomboa? I don't even know how to say that. So he's definitely been the best out of all of them getting called up, but it's so huge to have that in the rotation. Another guy, we've talked about him almost this whole episode, Wilson Contreras. He has been raking this year, but in the last 3 weeks, batting .264 with 4 homers and 10 RBIs, 9 runs in 14 games. And we've had absolutely no power coming from this team, so to have Wilson Contreras hit 4 homers is actually so huge for us. He's 96th percentile in barrel percentage, 93rd percentile on expected slug, 96th percentile in xWOBA, which is weighted on base. He's been hitting the crap out of the ball this year, and that was what he was advertised to do, and he's been living up to that expectation. With runners in scoring position, he's batting .269 with 13 RBIs this year total, and this team also sucks with runners in scoring position, just like we suck at hitting homers. So he's doing good in both of those departments. He's going to be a stud for me. And my last stud, and Cobb, in our first episode, you wanted this guy to break out this year, Ceddanne Rafaela. It seems like he comes up to the plate with runners in scoring position, and he always delivers. He's probably one of the clutchest hitters on this team. The last 3 weeks, batting .264, 14 hits, a homer, 7 RBIs. He just delivers with runners in scoring position. Yesterday's game had 4 RBIs. Total this season, batting .333 with runners in scoring position. So like I said, we've sucked with runners in scoring position. So to be having a guy like this to actually deliver for us is just massive. He's also hitting .333 in May. So he is on a hot streak. Cobb, what do you got for the duds this
first,
week?
Mike, I do want to thank you for the credit for predicting Ceddanne Rafaela. Show the record. Cobb has been undefeated in all of his takes and opinions this year.
Yeah.
With that said, I'm very proud to be able to share the duds. This year is clearly going to be a lot of hating from all three of us, and therefore it will be an honor to be the one to be able to share the duds of the week. So to get it started, I got two pitchers I want to bring up. One of which has high expectations and one of which not so much. We're going to start out with Brian Bayo. This one kind of hurts because Bayo did just have a great start. He had 7 innings, 1 earned against Detroit, to which I said there's no way I can make him a dud. I mean, that's his best start of the year. It's his best start we've seen probably since last summer. But I went back and I found his stats from the last 3 weeks, and including his 7 innings with 1 earned run. Brian Bayo has pitched his last 5 games, 18 innings, 17 earned run-ins, 28 hits, 7 walks, 15 strikeouts. It is truly and utterly embarrassing what he has shown. So I'm not going to rag on him too much as I would love to. I'm not going to say it's a joke that he's owed $49.5 million over the next 4 years. I'm not going to say that he had a 3.35 ERA last year and he's over double what he had last year with a 7.44 ERA. I'm not going to say that stuff because he had a 7-inning, 1 earned run appearance last time. And you know what? We are going to hope that that is the new start of the season for Bayo.
Absolutely.
But he's the next Pedro.
He's the next Pedro. You remember that year that Pedro Martinez had a 7.44 ERA?
I remember it well. It well. I was totally alive then.
My next dud of the week is going to be a guy that was actually mentioned a little bit earlier in the pod. A guy that has been reliable over the last 2 years. 2024, pitching to a 3.13 ERA. 2025, pitching to a 2.82 ERA. A guy that's been reliable out of the bullpen has gone from reliable to a complete and utter mess. Greg Weissert has pitched to a 5.27 ERA this year. If you've watched Greg Weissert pitch this year, you have seen he is fooling nobody. I don't know what is missing from him. I haven't had a chance to dig into the underlying metrics. Something is wrong. Batters are teeing off of him. And here are the numbers to back it up. Over the last 3 weeks, 6 1/3 innings. Listen to this. This sounds like my Little League pitching stats. 11 hits allowed in 6 1/3 innings. 11 hits allowed. He's gotten away with only 3 earned runs, but they have been ugly, ugly outings. There is zero confidence with Greg Weissert on the mound, and I know that I'm not the only one that feels that. So I know just a minute ago we had mentioned that the Sox were up and that Greg Weissert was getting warmed up. So I am going to hold out for dear hope that he accidentally pitches a clean inning. Now my third dud of the week is not one specific player, but rather the training staff of this team. Soft tissue injuries feel like it's a lack of preparation. It feels like those are avoidable injuries. And so when we're 6 weeks into the season, and we've lost Sonny Gray, albeit he's back, but Sonny Gray to a hamstring injury, Garrett Crochet to a shoulder injury, Roman Anthony to a hand injury, Ranger Suarez to a hamstring injury, Justin Slayton to an oblique injury, Cutter Crawford is MIA, and so is Patrick Sandoval. You want to talk about a joke? Patrick Sandoval. Romy Gonzalez still hurt, but that stems from last year. I'm not going to blame them for that. Now, all of these guys, I mean, it shouldn't be super long injuries. We hope to get them back soon. But with a string of injuries this consistent, and they're all soft tissue injuries, it really puts the onus on the training staff. What are you doing to get these guys prepared? Other teams are not having guys fall with their muscles falling off their bones like we are. And there's one name in particular that sticks out on that list. And it should for everybody here, and it should concern all of us, and that's Roman Anthony. Because we've seen Roman Anthony in the bigs for not even a calendar year, and we have seen him deal with a significant left oblique injury last year. Earlier this year, he dealt with an upper back injury. And just now, he's dealing with a right hand/wrist injury from a check swing. All of which are muscle strains. These are not fluke injuries. I'm beginning to be concerned that there is a pattern here with Roman Anthony. And many a time, young players that come up and can't stay healthy, it's usually an indicator for the rest of their career. So I am, small c, concerned with Roman Anthony's injury prone.
I wanted to bring up something about Weissert. It seems like he's always coming in with runners on base, so I feel like his ERA should be higher than what it is because of the inherited runs he lets up. I mean, what'd you say? Was it like a 5? It probably should be like an 8, maybe a 10, because he always comes into the game for some reason with runners on base, and he just lets them score. But they're not credited to him because he wasn't the one that let them on base. So he's definitely letting up more runs than what the stats show.
Earlier in the season, I had mentioned that Caleb Durbin gives me hope that I could play baseball someday. Well, Greg Weissert gives me hope that I personally could get a hit off of a major league pitcher. If you lay off that wiffle ball slider in the other batter's box, I mean, the barrels that guys are putting on him, he's fooling nobody. And I would not put it past this team, put it past Greg Weissert if he landed on the IL by the next time we record. Something has to be wrong.
Yeah. He was shutting down teams in the WBC just a matter of months ago. I mean,
I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of those WBC guys are dropping like flies. You start out the season when you're normally resting, you're normally taking it very easy during March, and you go all out and you're playing playoff level baseball. I'm not necessarily surprised that some guys are starting to fall off.
Well, you have Tariq Skubal, who says he doesn't want to pitch in like the championship game because he wants to avoid injury. Now he's on the injured list for 2 to 3 months. So I don't know. There's no winning there.
All right. So as our series right now closes out against Detroit, let's take a look at the series upcoming. Our next 3 series feature the Tampa Bay Rays, a division rival who we face for the first time this season and have been one of the best teams in the American League thus far. Right after, we play a couple of AL East teams in the Philadelphia Phillies and the Atlanta Braves. Philadelphia Phillies are off to a not ideal start as at the time of video recording they're 16-20 and recently fired their manager Rob Thompson. Since then, though, they have gone 6-1 and have gone up and are looking like the team they've been the last few series. Then we face the Atlanta Braves, one of the best teams in baseball right now. Yes, they had a down year last year, but they've been one of the most consistent organizations the past few years, and they're looking like they're a serious World Series caliber team. So this is obviously going to be a rough stretch. Atlanta and Tampa Bay even are playing like they're World Series caliber teams. Philadelphia, despite the slow start, as I said, they still have plenty of top-tier talent. I mean, I don't think that's going anywhere. So we got another week or so of top heavy league opposition. So how are we feeling with the series upcoming?
I think this could go disastrous. If we couldn't even beat the Houston Astros, who are one of the worst teams in the league, how are we supposed to do against Tampa Bay, Atlanta, even Philly? And I could even see Kansas City giving us some fits. I know we're an out away from sweeping the Tigers, but I think this could go disastrous. But I don't know. Tampa, I don't think we should be surprised that they're good. I feel like every year we're like, oh, they're going to be bad, and then they surprise everyone. They're a very well-run organization, even though we make fun of them all the time for like not spending and all that. They win baseball games. So them being one of the best teams in baseball, it's kind of surprising, but at the same time, it's not. They're hitting well. They're the 5th best batting average team in the league, and then they're also pitching well with the 4th lowest ERA. So that's a little concerning. And we always struggle with Tampa. I feel like in years past, we always struggle, especially going to Tampa. We always have had problems with playing the Rays. Philly, I know they're bad, 16-20, but they're still a good roster. And like I said, 6-1 since the firing. Don Mattingly's now their manager. I think they could give us some trouble. They have the most pitching strikeouts in the league with 342, and we strike out a ton. So we expect to see a lot of strikeouts in that series. Atlanta is terrifying. Acuna's injured, though. It seems like it's another, I think he pulled his hammy or something. That sucks. It's his 3rd leg injury in the last, 3-4 years. But they're still a really good roster. They still have guys raking on that team. They have good pitching. That is going to be a terrifying series. And then there's Kansas City. But there's only 3 teams in the AL this year with a record above 500. It's the Yankees, Rays, and the Athletics. So, even though it's been a rough start to the season, if we could string along some series wins, as the Red Sox just won, final score 4-0, if we could string along some series wins, we could maybe fight our way into a wild card spot, because it seems like the rest of the AL is really not doing much. Only 3 teams above 500 is kind of crazy to me, but we could turn things around, even though it seems like the start of the season's been so disastrous.
Now, that's a fascinating stat. There's only 3 American League teams with a record above 500. Now, before I dig into these series upcoming, I want to take a step back. Pretty much every episode when we've done this segment, the expectations have been very high. This is a huge series coming up. We need to win this many games. This is a litmus test for the season about how we can compete with this type of talent and these type of rosters. Those are the kind of talking points you've heard from me and from everybody else on this pod. No more. No more. No more. We are in survival mode at this point. There's only 2 ways that I want this season to go. We better turn it around and win 2 out of every 3 games, play .650 baseball, or we better just completely burn it to the ground, play .250 baseball the rest of the year, and at least entertain the hell out of me. Looking at this series of upcoming games, it looks like a stretch where it could get out of control. And I want to go through some of these teams because I think it's really hilarious how these teams are built and how they fit into where the Red Sox are right now. One of the corporate lingo phrases that I had used a couple of episodes ago, mocking Craig Breslow, was using a term hybrid of philosophies. The Red Sox don't have a direction. We've made that very, very clear in every single episode that we have recorded. There's no clear philosophy. Well, looking at these 4 teams coming up, the Red Sox have attempted to become each of these philosophies at least once. And let me dig into it. Tampa Bay, they are the model for cheap, controllable talent. They are the farm system of young, controllable arms. They churn guys out. They don't extend pitchers to long-term deals. And they are able to continuously develop talent, trade them, replenish the system, and it just keeps moving in a cycle, and that's why they're always competitive. The Red Sox have wanted to adopt that philosophy when they hired Chaim Bloom. Philly, who comes up after Tampa, that goes without saying. They're run by Dave Dombrowski, who did all right here. I mean, he only won a World Series for us. So it's very funny because we had the Dave Dombrowski philosophy during those years, and what do you know? It won us a World Series. It worked. After Philly, we go to Atlanta, where they have extended all of their young players. What do you know? The Red Sox just started doing that as well. We have attempted to be the Tampa Bay Rays, Philadelphia Phillies, and Atlanta Braves, all within 10 years. Where the Braves have extended guys like Acuna and Austin Riley, and I know he wasn't homegrown, but he was extended, that being Matt Olson. Those are all studs. The Boston Red Sox have extended Brian Bayo, Christian Campbell, Ceddanne Rafaela. Do those sound like the same echelon of players? I know there's a big name I'm omitting, but for the sake of argument, we're going to forget about Roman Anthony. And then, after Atlanta, we go to Kansas City. Kansas City led by Bobby Witt, who is a complete and utter superstar. Nobody's going to doubt that. And how did Kansas City get to the position that they're in? Not that they're a juggernaut by any means, but Kansas City, they're a cheap team. They went with the philosophy of a complete and utter rebuild. What do you know? The Red Sox have tried that philosophy as well. We tanked in 2020. We thought drafting Marcelo Meyer was going to be what we needed to build back up this farm system and get the major league talent up there that we need. So, in these next 4 series, I want you guys to all watch, and all the listeners as well, to see how these teams are run, how they are built. And you can see the line of thinking that these organizations have had, not for a year, not for 5 years, but an organizational philosophy that has been in place for a decade plus. One philosophy that they have stuck with, it has been tried and true, and it works for their market. Whereas the Red Sox, you're going to see a lineup of Trevor Story, a high-priced free agent that, let's admit, that contract has been underwater since the day he signed. You're going to see Ceddanne Rafaela, who was extended early. You're not going to see Christian Campbell, but we don't need to mention that. You're going to see guys like Andrew Monasterio, guys that are just utility players that really, aren't difference makers, but unfortunately, because of this roster construction, are our 5-hole hitter. So, take a look. See how these teams are built, and see which lineup makes sense. Because I have a funny feeling that the Red Sox are going to be a mismatch of toys compared to these other teams.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. First, to backtrack a little bit, 9 times out of 10, something you open with, Cobb, 9 times out of 10, I would agree that either I want ascending in the right direction, definite playoff team, or just completely rebuild and off to
nobody
next
wants
year.
500.
Nobody wants that. However, not that I'm saying sitting here, let's be a 500 team, but as Willard touched on earlier, even though this team has been a disaster thus far, we're only 2 or 3 games out of a wild card. I know it's May. I know no team in May is 15 games out of the wild card. But the AL is just so weak this year that, they could be playing 500 ball, and that's close enough to being in the wild card. So I'm not advocating let's go out there, be a 500 team. And again, 90% of the time I'm on team. You're here or you're down there. You never want to be in the middle. You don't want to be whatever teams are stuck in mediocrity for a while. This year, though, a bit of an exception because they can be a middle team still in the wild card contention. So I'm just saying, this is one of the exceptions where you don't got to be 100 or 0. But, these 9 games, things could get off the rail really quick. So I'm not writing anything off. But this year is a little bit different, so I just wanted to throw that one out there a little bit.
But we've been, but minus last year again. Last year was different. We've been 500 every single year. We're always 500.
The AL hasn't been as wide open as it's been.
No. But like my point being is if we go 500 and make the playoffs, I think that's disastrous because then that's going to tell John Henry, oh, I could like not care about this team and not invest in this team. And it'll also tell Breslow the same thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, I could barely put any effort in investing in this team. We could play 500 and make the playoffs because the expanded wild card. Oh, we're still a playoff team. Why are the fans all complaining? We made the playoffs. We made the wild card. Like they could just keep being this like mediocre franchise and get rewarded with the playoffs. I think if we go 500 and make the playoffs, then we're stuck with this for years. We need to like completely miss the playoffs, and then that'll hopefully wake up someone in the front office.
I don't know. And I mean, 2021, sorry, this is my last thing, and then I'll send it over to Cobb. In 2021, right before the playoffs started, I thought that exact same thing. I'm like, this is going to be a disaster. Tampa's going to give us belt to ass. John Henry will just use this as propaganda. But, I mean, look what happened after that. My only point is, the AL's wide open this year. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Never advocating to be a 500 team. But if you do have to be a 500 team, this would be the year to do it.
Stevie?
So, that was my only thing. Yes.
Stevie, you got to check yourself, bro. Stevie, this team does not deserve the respect to be talking about the playoffs. When you say, hold on, slow down. When you say the AL is weak, what I hear is that 15 fan bases in the American League think they can make the playoffs. If the American League is so weak, then there's a bunch of ass teams out there. And you know where the Red Sox land between the ass and the good teams? Where do they land, Mike?
Near ass.
They land in the ass.
Even lower than ass.
They land in the ass. We've seen this team. Don't lie to yourselves. This team is not worthy of even having this conversation right now. There is no litmus test. There is no looking for the playoffs. This is survival at this point. This is survival. What I'm just truly, as a Red Sox fan deep down in my heart, I mean, I don't want to see this team lose. This has the potential to get ugly fast. That's my big concern. This team does not deserve, this team has not earned this type of talk. Talking about the playoffs, talking about a weak American League, talking about a weak American League. Are you kidding me? A weak American League. Again, all I hear is that 15 teams think they can make the playoffs. It's a joke. It's a joke! God! And to wrap up another very positive, happy, definitely not negative episode of the Fenway Faithful Podcast, we have the most positive segment of all, the Jordan Hicks Award, where we nominate a person, player, thing, item, legislative body, whatever you want to nominate, to shout out for being ass, for truly embodying what it means to be terrible at what you are supposed to be doing. We have the Jordan Hicks Award to be able to honor you for that. Take Stevie G, for example. Last week, misses out on the emergency pod, maybe the biggest Red Sox news in years. That is what embodies the Jordan Hicks Award. So, without further ado, I'm going to start off with my Jordan Hicks Award. This week, the winner of my Jordan Hicks Award is Boston Red Sox fans. When you go to a Red Sox-Yankee game, the number of Yankee fans that are there is embarrassing. The crowd that you can hear chanting, "Let's go Yankees." The crowd that you can hear chanting when Giancarlo Stanton puts a ball to the Mass Ave is embarrassing. You can hear it over the TV. It doesn't sound like Fenway Park anymore. When the New York Mets come to town, there's more blue in the stands for the Mets than there is anything for the Red Sox. They stick out like sore thumbs, that New York Mets blue and orange. Just last week, or just a couple weeks ago, some people had posted to Twitter some items that were being sold in the Boston Red Sox team store. They included a commemorative home plate with a New York Yankee logo and 27 championship years. Reminder, this is in the Red Sox licensed team store right outside of the ballpark. And if that wasn't enough, they got Yankee hats and shirts to go right along with it. Could you imagine going into Gillette Stadium and seeing them sell jerseys of Eli Manning, of Mark Sanchez? Could you fathom that? Do you think that they are selling David Ortiz jerseys in the Bronx? Why has it come to this? I could very easily pin this to John Henry, and I would love to. Don't get me wrong. I like to blame John Henry for everything wrong that is in the world. But today it's on us. It's on us that allows our home stadium to be taken over by opposing fans. It's on us Red Sox fans that allow "Let's go Yankees" chants at our home ballpark from our most hated rival. So we need to look ourselves in the mirror. If we give any two shits about this team, we have to show up. We can't keep letting this happen. It's embarrassing. It's truly, truly embarrassing. The only thing that I can compare it to is last year I went to an LA Charger game, and they were playing the Denver Broncos. The LA Chargers, of course, should still be in San Diego. They've been in LA for a cup of coffee. The Denver Broncos have been there for decades. That stadium was 2/3 Bronco orange. It was one of the most awkward feelings in what should be a home stadium. And when I saw what was happening at Fenway Park, when Giancarlo Stanton put a ball onto the Mass Ave and the stadium erupted with "Let's go Yankees," I was truly, truly embarrassed. So congratulations, you, Mike, you, Stevie G, me, myself, and all of Red Sox Nation out there. You did this.
Me?
You.
Me. But I agree, but at the same time we're always like, sell the team, don't go to games, boycott. But then the away team's just gonna fill up the stands, and then John Henry still gets all the money. So, and it makes it easy when they could go across the street to the team store and just buy their own merch like they're at a home game. It is crazy. My Jordan Hicks Award was a free agent pitcher this year, and I'm very glad the Red Sox did not sign him, and that is Framber Valdez. He pitched yesterday, and I think he is a pathetic loser who is very butthurt. So, he allowed 10 runs against us. So this is what happened. He let a back-to-back home runs. Wilson Contreras bat flipped hard on him, and then Willier went deep right after, and it was deep. And he was hurt. He was butthurt about that. So he drills Trevor Story in the back like a loser. You know what pitch he threw? A four-seam fastball. You know how many times he's thrown a four-seam fastball this year? Before that? 0! He has not thrown a four-seam fastball until he drilled Trevor Story in the back. And he didn't even hide it. And when the ump looks at him and tosses him, he's like, all right, just walks off. I wish Wilson Contreras got to Framber Valdez because they were holding him back. He wanted to get to Framber so bad, and I wanted to see some hands get thrown instead of them all just meeting in the middle and doing nothing and having the bullpen pitchers run all that way for nothing. I wanted to see a fight. I wanted to see him stand up for Story. But man, he is such a loser. And this isn't the first time he's done something this pathetic. Last year, when he was getting mad at his catcher, he calls for an off-speed and then throws a fastball right at his gut and crosses him up. He's just a loser. Oh my
He
God!
dodged a bullet not signing Framber Valdez. I'll tell you that.
Big time.
I was one that thought him and Ranger Suarez were one and the same, but when it comes to character, it's very clear that they are on completely different spectrums. I completely agree, Mike. That is a great Jordan Hicks award. Truly embodies what it means to be an ass.
Yeah, truly.
I agree. So I'm taking a bit of a different route for mine. I don't really know who directly to pin this on. My Jordan Hicks Award of the week is whoever seems to be making this continuous decision to not play Marcelo Meyer against left-handed pitching. You know, the whole Alex Cora firing I could talk about all day. Was it good? Was it bad? Whatever. At the very least, something I was excited for once Cora's gone, that these ridiculous platoons of Andrew Monasterio DHing and IKF at second base and whatever else they're just going to pull that when I'd least expect it. But whether this is a front office move, a coaching move, whatever type of a move this is, it's stupid. It's so stupid. I think it's very, very outdated. Yes, the majority of the time, left-handed hitters hit better off right-handed pitchers and vice versa. Sure. But Marcelo Meyer, small sample size, but he's 3 for 8 with a home run and 4 RBIs against left-handed pitching this season. So, yeah, if he's 0 for 40 and striking out all the time, then that's a conversation to have. But left-handed pitching doesn't just suddenly disappear after your rookie and sophomore year. If you want him to be part of the future, you have to play him like he will be. Marcelo Meyer's one of the best prospects we've had and we've hyped up for years. And he has to hit left-handed pitching to be in this league. So whoever's making this decision, it's stupid. Let's get rid of it now and pretend like it never existed. And let's treat him like he's an everyday starter that he's played for, that he deserves, and that he should be for the next however many years he's in Boston for.
I agree. I like that pick, and he's been hitting lefties great this year, and if you want him to be your everyday shortstop in the future, you need to start doing that now. But I want to go back to what you started that with, how I could talk about the Cora firing all day. It's almost like we had an emergency podcast where we talked about the Alex Cora firing. I mean,
did you want to talk about that, Stevie? It doesn't seem like you did. It doesn't seem like you did.
I understand the consequences for my actions, so.
Good. Well, anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of us complaining once again. Hopefully things get better. But, yeah, thanks for listening. Follow us on the socials, the Instagram, the Twitter, the YouTube, all of that. We'll have another episode out in 2 weeks. Woo! See you then.